Alright guys, Tony Khan had a pretty big announcement yesterday. And you know, Tony Khan has announced so many of these in the last 3 years that now they've become very hit or miss. And they've become very commonplace. Like, we kind of expect these to happen at least every quarter year. And it can range anywhere from like an announcement that Tony Khan himself makes, or just a wrestler debuts, or it could be like anything. So as most wrestling fans would, they tuned in just to see what the announcement was. And listen, they kicked off this show big. Jay White came through on this show, attacking Ricky Starks and joining forces with Juice Robinson. Kinda sorta reuniting the Bullet Club in AEW. I'm a pretty big fan of Jay White's work in New Japan, and I think this is going to be a really good acquisition for AEW. Now, we all saw the reports about a few days ago that Jay White was no longer in talks with WWE. And honestly, with the news we've been seeing from WWE, with Vince being back in power, and just the shitstorm that Monday Night Raw was, I think this was the best deal for him, was to not join WWE. I wouldn't be joining that company right now either if I were anybody on this goddamn planet that's a wrestler. So honestly, I think this is a very lateral move for him. Him teaming up with Juice Robinson was quite a choice. And listen, they are part of the same faction in the Bullet Club, at least when they were in New Japan, but like, I don't recall them teaming ever. So as a tag team, it's a dynamic that's going to be very interesting. I think Juice Robinson is a really good wrestler when he's a babyface and he's given the tools to go out there and do his thing. I think that when he turned heel in New Japan, they dumbed down his moveset by a lot, and it really watered down the character and him as a wrestler. So even though he's remaining a heel, I hope that in this kind of sort of new team with Jay White, we'll get to see more of that. It also gives Jay White something to do in his first feud in AEW with Ricky Starks. Both are really good on the mic, so I'm really excited for that. Given that the top heel in the company right now is the AEW World Champion, I don't see Jay White going after the AEW World Championship anytime soon, but I will be keeping my eye on how his career goes in AEW. That all being said, that actually was not the big announcement. The big announcement from AEW is that they will be running their second All In show. That's right, not All Out, which has been their annual pay-per-view, All In, which was the very first pay-per-view that really has started the AEW lineage. Technically, it's not an AEW show, but now it is. And they're not just holding that show anywhere in North America, they're going overseas for their very first UK show. They're going to be holding All In London, England at the Wembley Stadium. This is a huge deal because this is not only AEW's first UK show, but this is AEW's first ever stadium show. AEW has been around for 4 years now, and they have never even attempted to run a really big arena. This is their first crack at it, and I'm really excited to see how this goes. Especially because I've been asked multiple times in the past, could AEW sell out a stadium? And I always normally say, like, we won't know unless they try. And I think 2021 was probably the best time to do it with all the hype they had with CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole. That was the perfect time to do it. We're 2 years out, and there's been a lot of controversy, and some of the hype has died down now, and it's like it's a little sketchy now. But just given how popular they are overseas and just how big and boisterous the UK wrestling scene is, I think this will probably be a really good show. With this being their first stadium show, they have to stack this card up the ass. They're going to sell seats regardless, because it's the first UK show. But selling out a stadium that looks like this, that's not going to be an easy task. Especially when they've never done it before. Now mind you, this is SummerSlam 1992, the last wrestling show that I could think of in my memory that's been held at Wembley Stadium. And that arena held up to 80,000 people. Disputed, but that's the number. Sleeping on that, my question has been, what kind of card, or at least what main mats, could they use to sell out this show? Because you're not going to just throw Rinky Dink versus, like, I don't know, Darby Allin as the main event and expect it to sell out. You got to do something really big. I don't even know if a big time rematch is going to do it. It has to be like a first time encounter. Now, I've been seeing 2 tweets and 2 suggestions going around that I want to talk about real quick. The first being that Drew McIntyre's contract may be coming up in July and he may not be renewing. Listen, I think Drew Galloway in AEW is a great thing. And I think that if he signed with AEW and if he was announced for this show, it would move a lot of seats. Would it sell out? I think it really is contingent on who he's facing. However, I think this is also very reliant on the fact that Drew Galloway will not re-sign with WWE. Because as we know, in the past, these wrestlers in WWE tend to not sign right away because they want to, drag out the contract and see if they can pull more money, which is the right thing to do. But you can't heavily bank on the fact that somebody may not re-sign, because they may re-sign. It's also not confirmed that Drew's contract actually ends in July. So if it don't end in July, then you're screwed. Great idea, but very contingent on a lot of aspects that may not be the case. And the biggest suggestion I've been seeing is them running CM Punk versus Kenny Omega at All In. As a huge CM Punk fan and a really big Kenny Omega fan, I would love nothing more than to see this match happen. It's a dream match in many senses. And obviously playing up on the whole Brawl Out controversy, this would be a huge match to do. But you're banking on a lot of factors here. Is CM Punk even going to be allowed back into AEW? It seemed like he was on the path of that until some recent tweets came out, and now that's stirring the pot back up again. Is CM Punk going to be medically cleared by then? Now it's going to be August, that's almost a year out, so I'm going to say he probably should be cleared by then. Is just remaining healthy? Is Kenny Omega even okay with doing business with CM Punk after what happened? Everyone talks about being in this business to make money, but there are times where it's like sometimes people just can't work together. CM Punk has said as much so. I mean, if they could put the guns down, come together, and sing a kumbaya in some, heroic sort, then I guess maybe this will go down and happen. But again, this is very contingent on a lot of factors. Factors that may not be the case. Considering AEW does not have that much UK representation, I'm very curious to see how this show goes. I mean, they got Paige, they got Jamie Hayter, they got a few other British wrestlers in there, but not a lot. So it's going to be mainly sold off of the North American talent, which won't be an issue at all. But I'm curious what you guys have to say about this. Who do you think is in the main event and how do they go about this? Comment down below, let me know. Like and follow for more.